The project to develop a national gender equality policy and action plan was launched on Thursday, November 29, 2018 at the Birdrock Beach Hotel with contributions from national stakeholders. The launch, attended by government ministers from the federal government and the Nevis Island administration and stakeholders representing various interest groups, was well received. In her address at the launch, Minister of Gender Affairs, Senator the Honorable Wendy Phipps, in her opening address, highlighted the importance of the national gender equality policy to the socio-economic development of the country. She called for a serious commitment to the cause of gender equality during the consultative process of the Gender Equality Project.
I prefer to look at development, especially of small island states such as ours with limited resources, from the standpoint of gender equity, not necessarily equality for the sake of equality. Why do I say this? We have to be very careful we do not end up in St. Kitts and Nevis and the rest of the Caribbean with a sort of a pseudo affirmative action type approach to development, where we say, okay, yes, we have a policy in front of us that says that there must be gender balance in everything that we do. So therefore, since we have a company, let us make sure that we have the minimum number of genders represented here without having any serious commitment to making sure that they are the right fit for the right job, regardless of the instruments that hang between their legs. This is something that we have to be serious about. And it's a matter that I would have lived through, especially getting a graduate education in the Deep South in the United States, where you see evidence of affirmative action wherever you go. And there is no serious commitment to the gender equity in those types of environments. They do the necessary window dressing to make sure that they maintain their state funding in terms of their land grant college status, so that taxpayers' money continue to help to finance the cost of running the universities. So that is why I say we have to be very careful as we build out what we are trying to achieve here, that we are not caught in the bind of having our own type of affirmative action under the guise of gender equality or gender equity.
Also addressing the launch was Minister of the Gender Affairs in the Nevis Island administration, the Honorable Hazel Brandy Williams. She said if St. Kitts and Nevis is to realize its full potential, there must be equal participation of male and female.
Gender equality in all of its manifestations is the hallmark of a well-functioning society and democracy. It is a principle which I believe in wholeheartedly, as I feel that if St. Kitts and Nevis, as a small island developing state, is to realize its full potential amidst the plethora of socio-economic changes or challenges before us, then we must, as a matter of urgency, ensure the equal participation and upliftment of our men and women, boys and girls. They must be able to participate equally and receive equitable treatment in the labor market, in our institutions of learning, in the comfort of our homes, and also in the corridors of our parliament.
The National Gender Equality Policy and Action Plan project is supported by UNESCO. Head of the St. Kitts and Nevis UNESCO Secretariat, Mr. Antonio Maynard, in addressing the launch, championed for a robust gender policy that should capture the imagination of people of all ages and gender.
I would also strongly advocate that any robust gender policy must cut across all sectors of the society and government and embrace all of the sustainable development goals. The policy, therefore, should, above all, be one that captures the imagination of people of all ages and gender, and very importantly, to inspire not only the policymakers, but the grassroots of our community as well.
Also addressing the launch is a representative of UN Women, Ms. M. Allison McLean, who has been assisting with the development of the project. She commended St. Kitts and Nevis for embarking on this project, as there are only 2 other countries in the Caribbean that actually have a gender equality policy. She emphasized that there will be competing ideas during the consultative process, which must be embraced to provide a comprehensive gender equality policy.
The process upon which you are embarked today, I think, based on what all our previous speakers have said, is not going to be an easy task. If I were to ask every single person in this room what gender equality means to them, they would have something different to say. So, this is a process that's going to involve conflict resolution. It's going to involve competing ideas, competing resources, competing priorities. It's going to involve the politics of gender, the politics of no gender. We're going to hear things like, gender equality is not an issue for me. Women are already empowered in the Caribbean. This gender thing is a distraction. Men are the ones we need to focus on. Sociocultural patterns and stereotype sex roles. So we're going to hear a range of different ideas. And of course, these ideas we must open ourselves to these ideas and these competing notions of who we are and why we're here.
After the launch, Ms. McLean engaged with some of the stakeholders to get their feedback on what the policy should entail and what issues would be focal points in the consultative process. Later that day, the participants were placed in groups where they were asked to focus on certain segments of the society to identify some of the gender equality issues among some interest groups while suggesting solutions.
Our group represented the gender issues that affect the aged and differently abled. We attacked education first. So based on the support services, we came to a consensus where Cotton Thomas has 118 students, and in that number, 80% of them are boys. And we find there was a gender imbalance there. We also thought that there was a physical barrier. There are physical barriers in school. The school are not fully accommodating to persons with disabilities. The necessary things that it needs to accommodate persons with disabilities and to help them as much as the typical students. We have one male specialized teacher at the special education unit in St. Kitts and Nevis who are trained with deaf students. That also is a gender imbalance. And we also find the same thing with the visually impaired. Only one female teacher that is specialized, trained in teaching the Braille and those kind of things. So we have gender imbalance there, and we are hoping that more support will be provided towards training in those areas.
We dealt with gender and health, and we have quite a lot of points, so we're going to go through quickly. In terms of the issues and the impact on men and women, we found that there was a breakdown when it came to diseases and how they affected males and females. For hypertension, females were more affected. Diabetes also affected females mostly. Cancer, we have breast cancer affecting females mostly, and prostate cancer affecting males. Alcohol use has an impact mostly on men. Gunshot victims, I think we all know those are predominantly male. Renal failure affects men mostly. And obesity in St. Kitts and the region tends to impact females. Females tend to be heavier, they tend to be more obese. The recommendations that we have to combat these issues, we felt that the hours of the clinics and the health centers need to be more convenient, especially for men. We also felt that we could do more public relations campaigns targeted to males, and some of these can use celebrities, such as infamous, de jour, persons who men can feel that they can relate to.
So I'm saying we want the men to step up. We want them to be involved. We're not knocking them. We're saying, come, Lord, partner with us now. And sometimes we don't get it. You know, so we would like that. We would like that.
Leadership. So young people need more leadership opportunities. And we can see that it's lacking when you look around private and government sectors who are leading these institutions. Also another issue, generational gap. Because there's a difference in the age, you would have like group desegregation in terms of you would have one set of young people on this side and you would have another set of older persons on that side. I'm thinking about the room, how it was set today. And you can see that in the setting. Yeah, and then you run away from us, realizing that we were all young people there. Well, they said I'm not in the category, so, but I think I am. I feel that I am. Another issue, youth and sports involvement. We are seeing more males here dominating the sports arena. What about females? What about when there's a female football game going on? You're not hearing the ray about Spurs, and you don't even know that there's a sport going on. The females are playing netball anymore. Once ago, it used to be a big thing about netball. We don't hear anything about that happening anymore. Economic empowerment. I don't have stats per se, but in terms of young people getting loans to open their own businesses, I'm not really seeing that. I'm mostly seeing them, you know, under a tree, combing here, doing nails on a landing, things like that. So we are saying that the financial institutions should give young persons a chance to venture out, give them the start and let them venture out.
Okay, so we did gender issues in labor and education, and how we categorized our information. What is the situation, what could be strengthened or changed, and how. And one of the first issues we talked about was the curriculum enforces stereotypes. In schools, we find that, you know, certain things are geared towards students. Some students said females said they wanted to do woodwork, but they were discouraged from doing woodwork. Males might have wanted to do home ec, but they were discouraged from doing so. What could be strengthened or changed? The removal of those barriers to students to choose their subjects freely. So that would be, and how we would do that? Consultation with the parents and the Ministry of Education to discuss the removal of barriers. So basically you have a consultation just like this, but with parents, well, not just parents and the Ministry of Education, so that includes the teachers and the principals, and say, hey, your students or your kids say they want to choose this, but they're realizing that you don't want them to take it, and we're saying, please allow them.
The goal of the National Gender Equality Policy is for the development of a well-informed, comprehensive national gender equality policy and action plan that will guide the implementation of gender-based and sensitive strategies both in the public and the private sector in an effort to protect the human rights of all citizens and residents. The comprehensive National Gender Equality Policy and Action Plan will serve as an institutional framework that will assist the government of St. Kitts and Nevis in facilitating gender equality and empowerment. This is in support of the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals and other regional and international commitments.